can go this way. There's the thank you letter from Northwest. And for public comment, I understand we have a guest.
Well, I want to let Janet White speak a little bit. Janet is a selectman up in New Portland. They operate a transfer station up there that many of our unorganized territory residents use, and there are some changes that she's going to tell you about.
Ah.
There you go.
My name is Janet White. Like you said, I'm the chairman of the board of the town of New Portland, 18 years now. I don't know why. I'm running one more time. It'll be 21 years when I get done. But we own the transfer station in Kingsfield. We have some unorganized towns that use it. I just wanted to come tell you that we've had some major changes. We're no longer open on Fridays to cut down on personnel costs. And our bulk waste has changed dramatically. You'll see all the new fees in the flyer. We just couldn't keep up with the cost of making it all go to the taxpayers, when not all taxpayers were using the bulk waste. So now, if you have bulk waste, you have to pay an extra fee to use it for everything. We don't take in any bulk waste without a fee. The other thing that we've initiated, and it's mandatory and has to be done by December 31st, and I believe even your unorganized territory people know about it because we've been sending out newsletters and stuff about it. They have to apply for a sticker. We've got to the point where we used to have a sticker program when I was on the transfer station board before, and it kind of slid away. And I come back on, and the station was being used by people from Strong and Phillips, and they don't have a right to be there. So now we're back initiating the sticker. I only brought one copy of that, but I'll leave it with you. And it's pretty simple. It pretty much says in the brochure all the new changes. That was updated June of this year. The bulk waste was shut down from January until July 1st because we had a DEP problem and we had a major cleanup to do. So we're just back up and running again with bulk waste, and if you have any questions, be happy to take them.
Good looking to you, Dave. I'm curious about bulk waste.
You can be called demo.
So it's like, is this everything that doesn't fit in the garbage bag, or?
Well, you want a garbage bag, that's the price for demo.
Oh, my goodness.
Demo consists of anything like a chair, a lamp, plywood. You cannot burn any. Our burn pile was also affected by a DEP shutdown. So we cannot burn any more lumber. So any lumber is now demo or bulk waste. The only thing we can burn, and they just allowed us to open our burn pile back up after we put in a new pad and everything, is yard waste. And that has to be 4 inches or less. We take no wood over 4 inches in diameter at the transfer station. Most of these are DEP rules that we had not been following, and now we are because we're mandated to. So, and we've changed our personnel up there. We had one gentleman working full-time, now we're at 2 gentlemen working part-time, also for saving money, so we don't have to pay the benefits that we're paying our full-time. It's just another way to save money for everyone that pays.
Well, more power to you for doing this very thorough organization here. I remember back we used to go shoot bears there. So things have changed.
Well, New Portland and Kingsfield work very close together. Even though we're in separate counties, we're almost tied together so tight that we are forced to work well with each other, and thank goodness we do.
Yeah, that's great.
But all of New Portland selectmen and 3 of the Kingsfield selectmen and 1 representative for Franklin County, because they own 15% of the transfer station, are the board members for your transfer station. So if you ever have any questions, you can contact me. I think Tim knows how to do that. And there you go.
Have you seen? So now that you can't burn wood, you're obviously having to pay to have it hauled off.
That's right.
Have you got to a point where you figured out about how much of that you have to haul off? Do you do monthly?
Well, we haul demo. We have a huge amount of people that use that transfer station. Between New Portland and Kingsfield alone, you're talking almost 3,000 people. And then our unorganized territory. So we have a a lot of people that use it, but we're moving a demo container every 2 weeks. And it's expensive. It costs us $2,000 just for them to pick it up, and that's just for them to hook onto it.
2,000 every 2 weeks.
That's just for them to pick up on it, and then it goes and gets weighed.
Right, then you get right.
Then we have that cost, and that varies due to the weight. As you see in your flyer, the big cost increase that we put on is shingles. I think it's on the last page. If you bring in shingles of anything of weight, you're paying $150 to $300 a load to get rid of it. Because we have to.
Right.
And what really promoted this big cost in our demo change is a lot of people weren't using this, but everyone was paying for it. So now the only people that are paying for demo are the ones that have demo.
Yeah.
If you don't buy a new couch in 3 years, why are you paying for everyone else that bought a new couch? And that's what we were hearing from our townspeople. You know, I never used demo, but I'm paying for it. So now the only people that are paying for demo are the ones using it.
So have you seen do you have to have the containers, have you noticed if you have to have the containers picked up more often because now you can't burn the wood? Because I know in our area that was sort of the big thing is, I mean, you can get rid of a lot of that stuff by burning.
We haven't seen that increase yet.
No.
I just was there
It's new.
today.
Okay.
Before I came over, I went out and talked to the new attendant, and he said, but by the way, I should tell you, we just got a new DEP approval. They love all the new changes. The transfer station is cleaner. We've had a lot of welding done through some equipment. In the last 6 months, we've done tremendous amount of work there.
And is Kingfield, that has a lot more economic activity and construction going on than
Right.
our region. Do they pay a greater share, or is it just by the truckload anyway?
No.
It doesn't really matter?
It comes out in taxes, okay? So
Population based.
it's population based when it comes to tax time. And that's the best way for me to explain it. The other thing we have done is we take no more commercial. We don't allow anyone to use the transfer station that is commercial hauler. So if someone comes by your house and picks up your trash for you, they cannot come to our transfer station. They've got to take it somewhere else. Because we were losing money. And we've done everything we can to stop the bleeding. And that's basically why you see the changes. And I'm pretty tight-fisted with money, so.
We have to be.
I wouldn't be on the board this morning if I wasn't. That's how that works.
A lot of the changes you've made, we have made in some of our locations.
They were necessary.
We may be in trouble with our burn pile in Rockwood. It's got to be tested, see if it's contaminated or
But,
not.
see, this is the problem. Our burn pile was tested, and it was contaminated.
Yeah.
Then they wanted to test our burn piles every time. If we didn't go to brush only, it's going to be $500 a load just to test it. So then it's taking long to make that decision.
Right. That's true. We aren't burning anything in Rockwood currently.
Yeah.
We got to clean up the old burn pile,
Right.
and we are taking wood, but we're having to haul it off. It's actually going to a chipper here in Muscogee.
We actually looked into a chipper, but it just wasn't feasible. It wasn't going to cost us any less than sending it out demo.
Right. Yeah. Because once it's chipped, it's still hauled away.
We still have to get something to haul and store it. And then it had to go into its own bin, and we had to buy a new bin and put a roof on it. So that didn't work. Trust me, I have checked out some. I know more about transfer stations than anyone.
Yep.
So, I just wanted to bring that to you, because if anyone calls you from your own trans territories, you now have the information, and they can also call me. And I take a lot of calls. So.
We're going to put this flyer on our website.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Everybody in Lexington,
A lot of people in Lexington get our newsletter.
do they?
We get we send out, we've been 31 years consistency with every month we send out a newsletter to everyone in town. So they know exactly what's going on in your town. You get your selectmen's minutes, what's going on, the events, in a newsletter every month right to your mailbox. We're very proud of that, because New Portland's done that for 31 years.
So now that everybody's burning their own waste lumber, is the fire department gearing up?
So far that hasn't happened either. Actually, people have been very receptive with it. It was hard because we were closed for 6 months, from January until July. So this first initial opening, had people coming in with big trailer loads of debris because they've been stockpiling it, I guess, everywhere else. We also advised them the whole time they were closed that they could go to Norwich Walk or to the other places, and some of them did. It's their option. It still is their option. Because either way they're paying now. So, it's their option. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You guys have a great day. Come on, Ken's.
I'm going with it.
Is there anyone else on the public who wishes to speak?
I'll just take this time to introduce Amber Jones. She's met a couple of you already. Amber is the county administrator for Saginaw County. And we've been kind of swapping stories today. And she's trying to make a tour of every one of the counties to visit and see how they operate. So I told her she picked a good day. Yeah. So.
This is my first stop because Tim Chris is the president of our our county administrators organization, and I don't know if that's why you offered first, Tim, but I hope to go to Frankfurt next and Quebec and then go from there. I am here just to observe each county in Maine. We're discovering that there are a lot of differences in the way we do everything. So I'm just trying to get a sense of how, most importantly, I really am looking at municipal county administrator and board relationships and how agendas are created in each county. That's kind of one of my focuses. And also when I get through it all, which will hopefully not taking much longer than a year, I'll be sharing the information.
How long have you been in your position?
I'm on my 5th year.
Maybe Tim can pick up some tips from you.
That's right. That's really why I offered.
Any other questions? Moving along to our workshop. Number 1, continued discussion regarding a letter to the governor regarding LD 1971. I think there's been a good collaboration going on with the letter. And at this point, my only concern was that it was not one page, but not too
I think
bad.
we already get to one page and have everyone sign it on the same page, so I think we're stuck with 2 pages.
I was going to say the same thing. That if we had that on the back side of the page, it would be fine.
Well, I've been making all the noise on this. I'd be glad to sign that. Be good to get this off the pad, so to speak, and move on to our business. So, I already sent my own letter. I think you sent your letter. Everybody else did.
Yeah.
I never got a response, so I doubt we'll get a response to this one either. So at least you'll know how we all feel.
So if all the commissioners are in agreement, I don't think this requires a resolution because it's a letter, not a
Right, no,
resolution.
it doesn't need a
But I did take the liberty of taking the letter that was presented and put it on letterhead with a signature page. So you can get to that at the end of the meeting if you'd like.
Okay.
That'd be great.
We could split it.
All right. Thanks. And we've concluded workshop number 1. Number 2, policy review, investment policy.
That's Patrick. That's Patrick.
Patrick?
As you know, Tim's going through and reviewing all the policy. He asked me to take a look at the investment policy. Upon reviewing it, there wasn't much detail on the types of investments in that current policy. So I went out and, of course, utilized the AI and the internet and found a policy that closer, I guess, follows the actual statutes on what counties can actually invest in and not invest in. And basically that's what we have in front of you here. Not that we're going to utilize that policy in the near future, because past history has shown that our current rate that we're receiving for interest income from the bank is really better or equal to what we can do through any type of investments. In June, our interest income is at 4.2%. if you go out, and I went on the internet today and looked at some CDs, and to be honest, by statute, you can't really just do CDs. You have to do bonds and other things. But CDs, a year CD is between 4 and 4.5. So we're right in the range of what you can do through a CD. Back in 2018, I did go out and touch base with Kennebec Savings and Bangor Savings, because they offer the ability to do investments through them. They'll manage your program. They're aware of the state statutes and how to handle it. The person from Bangor Savings, at that time, he was earning roughly 3%. And the person from Bangor Savings basically said we would have to go out and look at investments for 7 to 10 years to be able to hit that rate. So that at that point in time, it wasn't feasible to tie our money up for 7 to 10 years to get the same rate we was getting through, interest income. So this is the policy. It does mirror what the current statutes state you need to invest in. If you have any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer it. But I think this better represents what we can invest in compared to what our investment policy before was vague, but may have been vague for a reason.
Have we done this recently? Bought any bonds, or does anyone remember ever doing that?
Well, I've been here for 11 years now. We haven't in my time.
And if we did that, would that be something we would decide to do? Or?
Yes.
We'd have to authorize it in advance.
Right. The policy basically states that I would come to Tim, discuss it with him, and Tim present it to the commissioners. But the commissioners would have to approve it. Tim, in theory, would manage it in the sense that I would have to bring everything for his approval. But me and Tracy would be the physical ones doing the legwork and everything.
Well, do we have a policy? I mean, I'm sort of looking at this. Is there a written policy already on this?
Right, there is. It stems from back in 2009, I think. So that is one of the reasons I thought it'd be worth having Patrick do research to get it updated up to speed. I think any policy we have that links what we can do to state statute.
The old policy.
Sure. Well, I guess I'd be.
He's already walked through that.
Seems you're up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my own personal view would be that, with taxpayers' money, we should just put it in the bank and not invest it anywhere. And if you can get a good interest rate, because I don't. Makes me nervous.
Just a question I would have
We had an
is,
Andy and
I'm sure the investment and types of investments, are we talking about allowing accounts into sweeping funds to pull money in to make more money? Or are we talking about
The investment funds, you have to break it down into like AAA bonds, and the bonds have to be related to governmental agencies and so on. So, and you can't have more than 10% invested in one thing. And, there's quite a bit of rules and regulations on how you can do that. And the people that manage these actually do charge a significant rate because there's a challenge to it. And that's one of the reasons it doesn't really make it too feasible. Because Kennebec, I don't know if you have.
I didn't check.
Kennebec County actually back in 2018 was doing this, and they provided me with their paperwork. They actually lost money in certain quarters because of the investments, and they're hoping that in future quarters they're going to make it up. Well, ours is you're never going to lose money. It's just going to maybe go down or up, but
you're not going to lose your base? I mean, that's what I was asking about, like the sweeping accounts and things like that, which protect the.
Right. Yeah, they do.
I think that the state policy is designed more for municipalities that have a tendency to hold pots of money that are for specific things, and that those endowments are used, and we really don't have any endowments, so we're not going into these areas of need, and what Patrick is doing is sufficient for our county. And I know that, like I said, in 2018, Dave Davies was the treasurer in Kennebec County, and he had a whole big thing about it, but it was not anything that would work for us.
Right.
But this is good to have as a policy in case a PAC donates us a lot of money to endow us.
So I'll just add to this under the whole policy review process. This will come to you at the next meeting in a resolution, and so you'll see two resolutions today, 33 and 34. They are to approve what Patrick presented at the last meeting, the credit card policy and the abolition of the disbursement of funds.
Are we all set for the investment policy? Any questions? Moving along to number 3, discuss process for public opening bids.
So this came up at the last meeting, and we kind of went back and forth, and the chair asked for a workshop on this. According to our procurement policy, when we receive bids, they're not to be opened until a public meeting, and that certainly makes sense. The actual wording is that all bids shall be opened and publicly read by the chair of the Board of Commissioners or by someone designated by them for that purpose. So one of the questions that I wanted to bring up is, should we consider having the chair designate that bids may be opened at a public meeting prior to a commissioner's meeting? And this would be a meeting that is posted on the RFP. So the RFP will say bids will be opened this day. That way, when we have convoluted bids come in, such as what we had with waste disposal last time, that a couple of department heads can be there and all the bidders can be there if they're welcome to attend. And that way they'll just see what the numbers are, and so they can compare the apples to apples. They'll take their pictures and take their notes and move on. But no decision will be made on that until it's brought to the commissioners. Because what you'll see in your packets today is Patrick had a chance to take a look at all 3 of the bids for waste disposal, kind of do a cumulative amount of money based on those bids, and is able to format a recommendation out of that. Instead of trying to do all that within the context of opening these bids cold, I wondered what the commissioners thought about having the chair authorize a separate meeting that's not a commissioner's meeting.
And this would be on a case-by-case basis.
Right,
All in one
because vehicles will be pretty straightforward.
Right.
You know, other large bids.
I think in like 3 years, there's only been probably this one example that I can remember that was difficult. Well, just
We usually just get one bid.
well, that's right, and there is 2, but like in this situation, there was a lot to it.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think to kind of open the envelope and then, I mean, that was a cascade of numbers that meant nothing to me until you guys go through and organize it, we can read it. I think it's a great idea. I'm all for it.
I think we can do that under the guise of this policy, because the policy says the chair can appoint someone designated to open that. So I think that gives you a little bit of room to say, okay, for these bids that we know are going to be complicated because the RFP is complicated, if we know it's going to be complicated, let's do this ahead of time.
You would use the same timeline notification, X amount of days prior to, and all that sort of thing.
Right.
It'd be great if you could just, schedule it so it's like 2 days before our next meeting or whatever.
Exactly.
So that we could take actual action on it instead of just a workshop.
At the town level, we would do this with paving bids all the time. All the pavers would come in and they would have a bid opening that was not a selectmen's meeting. And so every paver could see what everybody else bid, and then they knew what they were going to recommend to the select.
And it's a public meeting, so all the public is eligible to go to that meeting.
And we can put that on our website when we post the RFP.
And we'll know which RFPs we're going to be doing that with, because we'll see that beforehand, before we send it out. We'll know how it's working.
So policy-wise, who's required to be in that meeting?
Whoever the chair designates it. So if he designates
So it's not necessarily a majority of the commissioners to have a quorum or anything like that?
Yeah, this would be a separate public meeting.
Okay.
It's like a,
Public bid opening.
it's like a foreclosure sale or something. You put a notice in the paper, and the interested people show up, and nobody else cares.
So true.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Discuss ballot language regarding an elected versus appointed Register of Deeds position.
So you have your information in your packet about the language that's been used the last two ballots and the results of the most recent election by community in Somerset County. But I did want to give Tanya, the Register of Deeds, an opportunity to speak to this if you'd like, to share her thoughts.
If you can understand it, yeah. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so my thoughts are, I do want it back on the ballot. I am in support of it being appointed rather than an elected position. I think moving forward into this next election, we should focus more on educating the public why we want it changed, and trying to gain their trust. I think there's a lot of concern that the register won't be supported, that the register will be at the whim of the commissioners or the administrator. And I think maybe it's my position to say that there is trust within our community here in Somerset. If they're concerned that there'd be a lack of oversight, in my mind, there's plenty of oversight. There's the administrator, the deputy administrator, the other department heads, 5 commissioners. Historically, I think it was an elected position because it was usually one prominent member from the community, and that person needed oversight from the constituents. Now, the oversight sits in a different pool. So, in my mind, just historically, it has changed over the years. Now, personally, for me, going out after those 300 signatures will be a big deal for me. I'm a very private person. When I go home, I go home. When I go home and I'm not home, I'm in the woods. No people. So this will be a huge challenge for me. And I may be so bold as to say I think I'm doing a good job. I want to stay in the position. It would just certainly make it easier to continue as an appointed position, not elected. Any questions for me? Anything specific?
No, thank you. We also think that we bring stability.
Thank you.
So we appreciate that. And as an appointed person, you bring even further stability.
I agree with you, because if it's appointed, all sides are protected. The county's protected. If there's an issue in deeds, the administrator, the commissioners can deal with it. If there's an issue on the registrar's side, that can be dealt with too through that process. It just, between our charter and it being an appointed position, I think everyone is protected. Yep. And also, the registrar is protected from somebody else who has political mindset from bumping them out just for a political stepping stone.
Right.
That's a risk. It's happened in Maine.
Right.
So.
And that's why our charter has us being nonpartisan.
Yes.
So that we focus on the county and not any of that other hubris.
Yes, and I don't know, maybe we should educate the public more on the language of our charter and how the position of the registrar is actually, a stipend position. So
right.
That's a huge part of how we as Somerset are. Other counties do it their way. Everyone's autonomous. But Somerset does it this way, and what works best for us.
Well, the problem is on the merits, it's a no-brainer from every level. And you being out front on this, maybe in election time, would be as part of it. Because we did the internet stuff and Facebook presentations. Yeah. Did what we could to gin the thing up. But There's just this thing about people going into the the voting booth and they see something about whether it's road commissioners or anything else, they just
Giving
freak
up
out.
their local control.
So, but we've got a trend going here. I don't really think it makes a difference what the language says, so much as hopefully that trend will continue with your help too.
Yeah,
Okay.
hopefully.
You go door to door
I am
and get
not
signatures
going
while you're
door to
there.
And we can show you some. Joel can tell you how to get those signatures.
Yeah, all the tips I can get.
I just buy elections now.
We read about that. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, do you want to address that letter I gave you earlier?
Sure.
Because we don't understand it ourselves either.
Yeah.
So did all the commissioners get this letter?
No,
I'm in the dark. I must have missed it.
I got it this morning, and I gave you it earlier.
So, Dana showed me a letter that Commissioner Johnson had received recently about a frustration from one of our municipalities with trying to have their liens recorded. And as a town manager, I've experienced this in the past. And the Registry of Deeds around the state are kind of split on this issue of whether they will accept an overage or not. And I'll explain what that means. Some registers say, yep, we'll keep money on account for you. Others say, no, you got to bring us the exact amount. And so in our Registry of Deeds, we're an exact amount county. So if you know you have 100 liens coming in, we expect you to come in with payment that equals that. I know from my personal experience being a tax collector in the past, sometimes you don't know. Sometimes it's your best guess. You're trying to get a warrant signed by a majority of the selectmen, so you guesstimate and you come in high. And so when you come to the Registry of Deeds, you come in and you say, hey, I got extra money here. Can you hold it on account for me? Some registries will do that. Ours will not. And so that was a policy when Tanya sent out the notice that we expect all these towns to be bringing in these liens. This is our policy. So it was in writing. It was by email to everyone. And so we had this one individual town manager that was very upset that his person that delivered all the liens was sent away because they had an overage. And so they had to travel back and turn around and get a right check and come back over and do it. So the reason I know about it is because after talking it out with Tanya and not getting what they wanted, they called me. And after I had that phone call, I went down to Tanya. She explained the email. She explained everybody knew. She explained this is a policy that they've had in place. But she also expressed that reconsidering of this policy is something that she would be open to. But at the moment right now, she did not feel that it was in the right interest of the registry to change the policy for this one individual who did not get what he wanted. And so I backed her up. I said, send a person over with the right check, and we'll just go from there. So clearly he did not think this was an issue to involve all the commissioners. He did not think this was an issue for his commissioner. So I'm not sure why he brought it to your attention, but that's what happened. So
I think it was a matter of convenience.
presence.
Yeah, convenience, time, presence.
I was at
So
an
it was
event.
in the right place at the wrong time.
I was at an event, and he
Well, it's
came up to me.
just like they figure out the total amount of liens and then somebody pays it off before you get to.
Yeah.
exactly.
So, okay, so it's fluidity. Maybe they ought to bring 2 checks with them when they bring the checkbook with them.
And I will say it is tricky. It is tricky for municipalities because if you're going to do it the right way, you got to have it in a warrant, and that warrant's got to be signed. And so, getting checks turned around like that is not easy.
And I want to make it clear that it has nothing to do with Tanya. She's brought fluidity to the Register of Deeds, which we haven't had
Right.
in the past. And I think it's just one of those other things, bumps in the road that this person had, because he's had some bumps before, and it was mostly due to some of the transitions and lack of fluidity in the Register of Deeds. And it's nothing on Tanya whatsoever.
I think it's commendable that you follow the policy even in a potentially difficult situation, and the way it's been handled is exactly how I feel it should be between you and Tim and Sip. Yeah, excellent. That's really how it's very professional. That's how it's supposed to happen.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. And just with that being said, my only real problem with the situation was I would have welcomed a professional conversation, but he wasn't willing to do that. It was a rather heated, kind of threatening conversation. And I wasn't able to change our policy midstream. That's just not practical. So, but like I've discussed with Tim, we're always changing policies. I can drive Arlene nuts changing policies. But you have to do this with research. I need to know what the other registries are doing. I need to know, will our software support this kind of move? What will we allow them to use the overages on? Is it photocopies? Is it recording their discharges? There needs to be a plan, and my staff needs to be on board. This has been the policy. I walked in on this policy. Do I agree with it fully? Actually, I don't. And I would have expressed that to Richard if he was willing to have a conversation. But he wasn't. So I appreciate all of your support, and especially Tim for walking me through this.
But I wanted to give you some feedback on that because of the difficulties that was in the past, there might be some residual, and don't take it personally.
Thank
from
you.
Richard.
I appreciate that. Thank you all.
So in regards to the language for deeds, do you want to use the same language you did in 24?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think you have a resolution on the agenda 136. So when you make that motion, just refer to that 24 language, and I'll make sure it gets in. Thank you.
So on that, I guess on that language though,
I'm sorry. Did I answer that too loud?
I know this is a pain in the ass. There's no doubt about it.
This group loves language.
Yes.
Was there language?
I mean, just something. I don't know, and I could be completely off base. There's no, it wouldn't be the first time. So, shall the Somerset Registry of Deeds position be changed? What do you think about the idea of updated?
I don't think that's going to change anybody's vote.
Okay.
I mean, they're
Just.
I agree with using the 24, but I like what she said because I think we should hit the road with this and really make it public and educate, because that's what can go. In my district, one of the biggest issues with putting this on the ballot was taking away my right to vote.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So if we make this presented and educated the right way, then I would think that may alleviate that.
And that's why we're glad that we spoke about that, because you've articulated the reasons in the right way.
And I noticed Jake's not here today, but I'd be willing to prepare a written statement, perhaps, that could be used, something that a little more professional than just chatting about it.
Well, we might get together and do some PSIs anyway.
Okay. I think that's a great idea. I just think it's a misunderstanding. Even when it was on last year, my own mom said, "We don't want this, right?" And we do.
Oh yeah. Stupid question again. This is coming up right away, right? November.
So this came up at the last meeting because I got a email, all the counties did, from the Secretary of State's office saying there's really only 2 referenda on this ballot. And so there's room on the actual piece of paper.
Okay.
So counties, they'll be willing to print it at no charge. Counties can put a question on if they want to. And so they need to have the question by the 26th of August. And so I thought this would be a good time to get the language.
No changes.
So
Sorry,
actually,
Tim.
that begs the question, so if it is on this year, let's say it's approved, will I have to take out papers in the spring?
No.
Right.
Yeah, we'll do those PSIs.
It's not harsh.
Much better investment of time.
Seriously, though,
Oh.
in all honesty.
And you gotta get all your gun people to educate them. Isn't there a hot button gun?
There's a red flag. The red
A
flag.
red flag, yeah.
Flag.
The red flag people to realize they
Keep Maine
should
safe. Yeah.
keep Maine safe
I
and
might-
keep the
might know a
register
little bit about
deeds.
that one, too.
Point out.
You have to
Couple
couple
of
the
those
state
issues.
as an elected position. You just said,
I thought that too. I think
shall the register of deeds position be considered an appointed position? Just drop it.
so.
And
Not to go backwards too far,
Yeah.
but the charter has specific language.
Generates.
And we had to create it in such a way that the Secretary of State says, okay, that's within the spirit of the
stage or
Yeah, the charter had specific
Removing
language,
that,
but it
I
wasn't.
thought about that too.
It wasn't in a form that the charter said it had to be used. It just had to be in that spirit, as Tim just said. So we changed it, keeping the spirit of the language.
Yeah, you see that. That's the charter language in 23. It has the word abolish. And so
Yeah.
people didn't like abolish.
Yeah, well,
no. Unless it's the IRS, ATF, Department of Education. That's another good one. There's a bunch of abolishments that ought to happen. Yeah.
So, and the other thing about that, I believe they just in this last session they passed a law that says you can no longer collect signatures at voting. And I had been doing that and helping our register of probate by collecting signatures for her because it's 300.
Yeah.
And collecting signatures for myself as well, and because we have 100. So yeah, it's
It's only within a couple hundred feet, so you could be like 201 feet outside of the voting place.
Normally you call this.
It's November.
well, I know it's still you have to be in an area that they come by to see you. And
Wear your orange cone.
We need to get both sides of these hotly contested issues on the red flag law and the other thing. Both sides to say, we really want you to do what we want on this issue. And by the way, we all agree that we want to have the register of deeds appointed, not elected. So show some consensus and bipartisanship on that issue.
Kumbaya.
Oh, just kind of a little postscript for everything I say.
Me,
All right.
me and you will have to do that.
We'll work on something. Joint communique.
Okay.
Can you imagine that one?
Well, it's another letter. Another letter. All set with discussion on the ballot language?
I think so.
Very good. No public hearing. New item agenda items. Features only. None. Administrators report.
Okay, I attended the ribbon cutting for the Margaret Chase Smith Community School yesterday in Skowhegan. It's quite a facility. It's going to incorporate 3 elementary schools. So that means 3 elementary schools, 2 in Skowhegan and 1 in Canaan. Canaan will be undergoing some changes over the next couple of years. I've been sending out emails reminding department heads about opportunities for training. So I'll let you know that next week I'll be at the Maine County City Managers Association training for a couple of days. And we have some coming up. We have the Law Summit coming up in Portland that the risk pool will pay for 3 attendees to go. We've already had 2 people registered for that. So it's good that we participate in that, the HR stuff. 2 people from the jail are going. And then on the 18th and 19th of September, the MCCA conference will be held in beautiful Saginaw County in Pittsburgh. And so I know I'm signed up for that. Commissioner Seekins, CZAC is signed up for that. Any other commissioners or any other staff that want to go. Are you going for the deeds thing? Yeah. So I believe the Sheriff's Association might be there as well. So That's coming up, and then the Maine Municipal Convention is in Bangor, October 8th and 9th, and I reviewed the agenda today, and I think there's some pretty good stuff on that. To me, it's been kind of hit or miss over the years, but
This one looks
this one looked pretty good. So I encourage department heads to use their training budgets and register and go to these.
I saw that. That was great.
Yeah.
That was good.
So other than that, are there any questions? I'm good.
And finance reporting.
No major changes in FY 25. So,
Wait.
we have the auditors coming in the last week of August. And start doing the legwork for that. So, and we've almost completed our first month in FY 2026, and everything's looking good so far, but it's hard to see any trends or anything after the first month. But all positive. There is some red numbers, but it's only because some of the revenue hasn't been posted yet. So, no big news.
News is good news.
Yeah. Any questions?
Okay. Thank you. Dave?
Right now, the major concerns are the Rockford transfer station. We have a retaining wall kind of collapsed on us. So we're looking at getting that side that collapsed to replaced, and we're probably going to wind up going around the existing retaining walls, which are like railroad ties, with cement blocks, tongue and groove type blocks. So we'll have the whole kind of U-shaped area blocked off better. The other issue is the burn pile. I heard back from the environmental group. They gave me a quote on coming up to do the testing. They don't do core samples, which was what my thought was. They go in with an excavator, dig it all up, take samples from different locations. The initial estimate was over $20,000, but that's bringing up their own excavator from the coast. So I asked them if I have an excavator on site, and our contractor up there was just a couple miles away. So I asked him when I was meeting with him last Friday about the collapsing wall. I said, over in the burn pile, it'd be a lot cheaper for us if you could be here with your excavator and dig up whatever they want you to dig up. The cost of the excavator on the initial bid was like $8,000. So we should be able to save quite a bit of money. And Dennis Fergon basically said that he'd be willing to do it if we can arrange dates and times and get that hammered down. So that's the major concerns right now.
How big is that burn pile?
It's probably 30 by 60 yards, maybe. It's not extremely high. They kept asking me how deep it was. And I was up there on Friday. I said, well, it's deeper than I thought. Looks like the highest point's about 8 feet high.
How often do you burn?
How what?
How often do they actually burn stuff?
Fairly often. We have a water tank there with a motor, and the fire department will often come up whenever they burn it. I don't believe the ashes have been hauled out, certainly not since I've been with the county, which is over 20 years, and it could be 40 years worth of ashes there. My concern is if it comes up contaminated, which it probably will. You've heard New Portland and Kingsfield had issues with theirs.
Well, their contamination will include arsenic from pressure treated, it'll include paint, and
Lead is a big concern.
Nearly.
And of course, pressure treated. There's too many things in there that were burned in the past, and not only in the past, the stuff that's been burned recently that shouldn't be there. Mm-hmm. But we had an 84-year-old man as a attendant up till last fall, so he wasn't someone you could have climb through all the wood pile and pull out certain pieces. Mm-hmm. So right now, we are not burning anything. We are putting it all into the bins. 40 yards and haul them off. They're being chipped, to my knowledge, here in Skowhegan. And we haven't gotten all the results and paperwork in yet, but I don't think we're going to burn any more in Rockwood. Even though a lot of what was burned in Rockwood was dry tie, dragged it out of the lakes. People that used to always burn them, they don't burn anymore. They just haul them out of the lake and throw them away. Kind of goes against my nature. I burn all kinds of dry tie. Modern folks don't. They have heaters in their camps.
Modern
Modern folks.
I'm going to use that one. Modern.
We got my own bird pile.
Yeah, I don't want anybody digging through my burn pile. There's a few Democrats in there.
Jimmy Hoffa is one of them.
I'm sure this company organization that you're hiring, there's probably not a lot of choices as who we can hire for that.
I basically was talking with DEP. They're the ones
So this is DEP's recommended
Yeah, that's
contractor?
the one. And I talked to the guy. I think it's Campbell Environmental in Falmouth.
Oh.
And he said all of a sudden they've been getting all kinds of calls like this, and they're going like, "Why are we getting all these calls?" I said, "Yeah, DEP recommended you." But I'm waiting to hear back because I sent them an email and I said, if we can get a date set up, I can probably get my contractor there with his excavator, and and go from there. And they had listings in there that I didn't really understand. They were getting rid of 175 tons of ash, and I'm thinking to myself, where is that number coming from? So I'm clarifying their estimate, and we'll go from there. I'll update you at the next meeting, see where we stand.
Any further questions for Dave? See none. Sheriff?
Extremely busy, and we're wrapping up for the fair that starts on Thursday. So, it's an interesting time for all.
You're very busy. I was on the website looking at your list of details, and you're extraordinarily busy.
We are.
Yeah.
But, I thank you all for your support.
Commend you and the crew for their good work and diligence being out there.
We have some good people.
Yeah. And there was a bunch of you in Fairfield the other evening.
Yeah, we've been spending some time in Fairfield.
Isn't that part of Waterville?
Some people would like it to be, and others don't. That's why we're in Somerset County.
Inner city Chicago.
Any other questions? Okay. No unfinished business. New business. Resolution 25-133 to approve changes to the Somerset County credit card use policy.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Go. Resolution 25-134 to authorize the removal of the county policy regarding disbursement of funds.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Go. Resolution 25-135 to approve paying the following matching grant awards based on completion of the project.
So move.
Town of Bingham, Dennis Pickleball Court, $15,000. We have a motion, a second.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Everybody's yes? Okay.
Yep.
Can't you see me on your side?
I can see you, but I saw some hesitation on some of the hands, so I wasn't signaling you out. Resolution 25-136 to authorize language to be placed on the ballot in November 2025 for Somerset County voters to consider changing the Registry of Deeds position from elected to appointed using the 2024 language.
So move. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? to go. Resolution 25-137 to award a 3-year contract for waste disposal services for county buildings, courthouse, community center, and jail. And those, I lost it right here somewhere.
So after reviewing the numbers, we recommend keeping the current contractor, which is Somerset Disposal. But I did appreciate the closeness of the bids, so that's a good sign.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Well, we've got a good track record. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Oh, you voted?
Yeah.
No, I was going to just ask. I thought we were in the discussion phase.
We were.
Are you still discussing?
Well, I just wanted so this is the lowest number. Their bid is the lowest.
That's correct.
And we have a good track record of service with it.
Yes, I actually checked with the sheriff, and he checked with his custodial staff, and they were pleased with it. I checked with Mike and Tammy over at the comm center, and they were pleased with it. So.
Well, then I'm pleased to vote in favor of the pending motion.
I'll reiterate the motion to award a 3-year contract for waste disposal services for county buildings, courthouse, comm center, jail to Somerset Disposal for the amount of $28,469.74.
I already said so moved.
So,
And I seconded it.
yeah.
Okay,
And we
good.
voted.
Anybody?
But that was a good thing to put the number in there.
We need to put the numbers in there
Yeah.
and to specify. So, without a doubt, all in favor?
Nice.
Resolution 25-138 to authorize the following recommissions for the Somerset Sheriff's Office: Gary Lancaster, Michelle Burnham, Caitlin Griddle, Damian Kelly, Terrell Leonard, Corey Lombard, Emily Roderick, Scott Stoddard, Evan Touche, Alyssa Wilson, Mary Yenny, Terry Kuntz, and Lanisha Bush.
To move.
Second.
Discussion.
Doesn't the motion of the second have to read all the names too?
Fortunately not. So says Robert's rules.
As well done, sir.
All in favor? Resolution 25-139 to approve the annual equitable sharing agreement and certification for the Somerset County Jail's office.
So moved.
Discussion?
What is this? Do we just? I mean, I assume it's routine, but
And actually, it is routine, but the report that is being filed shows that there was a balance to the county from the federal government for $19,900. $7,800 was added this year. $27,700 is the current balance, and I defer to the sheriff on what they use that equitable sharing money for.
I don't have an answer for you.
That's what I was afraid of. Because the only name on here is Kristen Washburn.
we just have to approve.
Submitting the report.
The report's right here.
Okay, yeah.
You
It's,
don't have to-
all right.
So,
Well, it says
thus certified.
we've certified that we have it, but we don't say what we've done with it in this report.
That's not part of the report. That's correct.
Okay.
I apologize. We should have been prepared for that one. But it is an annual item that is approved by the commissioners. This is actually done retroactively because we've already submitted the electronic signatures. There's no place for the commissioners to sign this document. So we just kind of have the belts and suspenders approach.
Okay. So, belts and suspenders, all in favor? Here we go. It's a go. Resolution 25-140 to approve the hiring of Gavin Dorr and Corey Peasley as corrections officers for the Somerset County Jail.
Second.
All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor? Good. Capital reserve expenditures, unorganized territory, warrants, resolution 25-141 to approve the treasurer's warrant for general funds, Somerset County Jail, unorganized territories, TIF tax revenue, and TIF community benefit for a total for the FY25 and FY26, $776.25.
So moved.
Discussion. All in favor? To go. Miscellaneous discussion items, commissioners only. Nothing? No. Recess to execute documents.
Oh, that's good. I hate to have to wait around for an hour.
You recharge. And then you come back and go again.
motion to adjourn.
Second. It's not a-
All in favor may go, all opposed can stay.
Amen.
Adjourn.
Can I ask a question now?
Hit up.
No,